everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to be starting off with a rusty bolt, and we're going to put it in the forge, and we're going to start off by straightening it and flattening it out so we can start working it. The idea for this project is to take this bolt and turn it into like a large kunai style, almost like a throwing knife type blade, but I'm going to scale it up much larger. So you can see here I'm taking the bolt and I've straightened it, or I am in the process of straightening it because it had a bend in it, and it'd be a lot easier to work with it flat. And the reason why I chose this bolt for this type of blade is it already had the more mass at the back of the blade, with the head of the bolt being larger, so I can flatten that out and use that for the pommel, or the part where the ring of the knife is, where you put the hole in it like a traditional style kunai. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. This is to the point where I've gotten the knife body where it needs to be drawn out actually into a blade. So I've moved up to a higher pound hammer. I believe I was using a 3 or a 4. Now this is a 6 pound sledge on a short handle, so it's a lot more weight. And now I'm really putting the force down, trying to make it as wide as I possibly can in order to press out the steel and make it thinner and make it wider. Now, after pressing the steel out with the heavy hammer, I went back to a 3 pound crossbeam, and I'm using the actual angled part of the hammer in order to hit it in the middle and create almost like a fuller, which is a divot in the middle of the blade that creates a thinner spot but makes it wider. So because the blade is obviously skinny and I need it to be wider than this in order to create the look I'm wanting. So I am taking the angled bit and putting a line essentially down the middle of the blade, a groove, in order to spread out as much material as I can without getting it too thin that I puncture through the blade. Now I have gotten the blade to the desired width and length as much as I possibly can with the material I have, and now I'm going to punch some holes in the blade for a neat little style. I was planning on putting 4, but ended up having to put 3, and you'll see why later. But I just heated up the blade, and I took a punch, and I used this metal grate as a tool to punch through. It allowed me to punch through the steel with a punch, and then I can just take it out, flip it over, and punch it through the other way so that it's an even puncture all the way through, and there's not like a larger gap on one side of the blade than the other. And with the last hole punched in the blade, I could finally move on to the next part of this project. Now this clip brings me to the point that I appreciate and also regret about this. And it's the point where I decided that the blade was not wide enough. And so I got this piece of steel and I cleaned it up so that I could cut it in half and add width to the blade, which would add to the aesthetic, but it would cause me to lose some integrity that you'll see in just a moment. So now the pieces are welded onto the side, and I'm going to trim them in order to fit the alignment of the blade edge, because I'm just trying to widen the base essentially. Now that the pieces have been welded on, you can see that where my regrets have come in, because after welding and chasing all of the impurities and cracks that it caused, I've now thinned the metal at the base of the handle where it connects to the blade, and it is very weak. It would flex really bad, and also it would cause the blade to make some sounds that are not very good, and this ultimately leads to the point where I decided to close that gap up and make it to where there's only 3 holes, but I really wanted there to be 4. But with all that said and done, and all that extra hard work and whatnot going through this in order to fix and repair and create all the stuff I needed to do for this specialty item, now you can see it. in its full glory. If you did enjoy, I really appreciate you watching through this and seeing me take the rusty bolt and turn it into this. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. And if you were so inclined to, feel free to subscribe or like or comment on whatever you'd like to see me make next. And I hope you have a wonderful day.